growing up as a kid, yeah. All a nigga wanna have was a Burberry scarf and $3 in my pocket. Instead I got beat with a switch, but I don't give a fuck, but it's on my body. Scars all up on me, but I run around from.
So ever since Patrick Mahomes signed his long-term extension, his 10-year deal worth $503 million with the Kansas City Chiefs, a lot of people have been asking which quarterback is next in line to receive a Patrick Mahomes caliber deal. Now, I've said Deshaun Watson, and a lot of people on social media disagree with me. A lot of people say that Deshaun Watson does not deserve a Patrick Mahomes caliber deal and that he's not a top 5 quarterback. Now, I find both of those claims to be highly outrageous because, first of all, without a doubt in my head, Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback. And second of all, Deshaun Watson doesn't just deserve a Patrick Mahomes caliber deal, but you can make the argument and say that Deshaun Watson should earn more than what Patrick Mahomes is receiving. Because, first of all, not a lot of quarterbacks can say that they've won and made it to the playoffs with less than what Deshaun Watson has had to work with over the last few seasons that he's been in the NFL. Now, you can make the case and say that Russell Wilson and Carson Wentz have won with less, just like Deshaun Watson, but Carson Wentz has really only won with less this past season when he went to the playoffs with a banked up offensive line and guys off the street playing wide receiver. But when the Philadelphia Eagles are healthy, Carson Wentz has a Super Bowl caliber team. Now, Russell Wilson, yes, the offensive line is banged up, and for a couple of seasons prior to 2019, Russell Wilson didn't have really all that great of a running game. And his offensive line isn't all that great. But in 2019, when the Seattle Seahawks were fully healthy, they were really good running the football. You had DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett catching the ball, and you had a really good coaching staff led by Pete Carroll, who a lot of people seem to forget that he went to the playoffs before Russell Wilson's arrival. Now, what does Deshaun Watson have to work with compared to guys like Carson Wentz and Russell Wilson, who are considered elite quarterbacks? Compare what the rest of these elite quarterbacks have to what Deshaun Watson has had to work with when it comes to the Houston Texans. Let's see. Deshaun Watson's really only reliable wide receiver he's had to work with during his time in Houston has been DeAndre Hopkins. Other than DeAndre Hopkins, who has Deshaun Watson had that is actually reliable? Please don't say Will Fuller, because Will Fuller, when has Will Fuller ever played a full 16 NFL season? When has Will Fuller even stayed fairly healthy for a whole entire NFL season? Will Fuller on average plays at least 9 games a season. Now, Will Fuller most of the time is injured. So now, not only do you only have DeAndre Hopkins being your only wide receiver to throw to, but you have had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL since you got to the NFL. I mean, ever since Deshaun Watson has been drafted by the Houston Texans, he has never really had a good offensive line. He's been running for his life back there. On top of that, he's been carrying Bill O'Brien ever since his second season in the NFL. Now, I used to make the debate about Bill O'Brien that Bill O'Brien is a solid head coach. He's just not a good general manager. But now I'm starting to get the feeling that Bill O'Brien, not only may he be the next Chip Kelly with how bad of a general manager he was, but he may also be the next Mike McCarthy. And we're not talking about the Mike McCarthy and Dallas right now. We're talking about the Mike McCarthy with Green Bay. The Mike McCarthy that got too overly reliant on Aaron Rodgers and got lazy and basically said, hey, Aaron, win us the game. I'm starting to get the sense that that's kind of what Bill O'Brien is doing. He's kind of getting lazy, and he's basically saying, hey, Deshaun, we're going to give you the game, and you go ahead and you go win it for us. We need you to do everything. So Deshaun Watson has a not great coaching staff, a bad offensive line, not really that good of a running game. Now, if you guys want to stay about Carlos Hyde running for 1,000 yards as a running game, I mean, let's do the numbers here. It's not really that hard to have a 1,000-yard season in the NFL. You can be an average back and still rush for 1,000 yards in the NFL. So let's see. To rush for 1,000 yards in the NFL, on average, you need to rush for 62.5 rushing yards per game. So to have 1,000 rushing yards in the NFL, all you really need to do is rush for 63 yards every single game, and you can have 1,000 yards. So, I mean, it's not really all that hard to rush for 1,000 yards. But, hey, okay, Deshaun Watson had a running game. What else? Only had DeAndre Hopkins to throw to, bad offensive line, and a bad coaching staff, and a bad defense. Now, you think the defense would be good since they did have J.J. Watt. They do have a really good defensive line. But, I mean, that defense, that secondary has still been god-awful. Houston's defense has still been one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Despite having guys like J.J. Watt. Despite having Justin Reed in the secondary. They still don't have a really good defense. Their defense is still amongst one of the worst in the NFL. Not only that, but they just lost their best run defender and DJ Reader to the Cincinnati Bengals. So you look at what Deshaun Watson has to work with. A bad defense. A bad offensive line. Now with DeAndre Hopkins gone. Average or below average wide receiving core. Not great coaching staff. So compare to what Deshaun Watson has to work with to try to get Houston to the playoffs, and compare him to what he has with guys like Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. Now, you tell me something. Deshaun Watson has carried the Houston Texans on his back the last couple of seasons. If Deshaun Watson was not the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans last year, do they make the playoffs despite playing in a weak division? Absolutely not. But you can make the case for almost every single elite quarterback. You can say Kansas City doesn't make the playoffs without Patrick Mahomes. You can say Seattle doesn't make the playoffs without Russell Wilson. But when you look at elite quarterbacks, what elite quarterbacks can you consider are elite or top 5 without a good coaching staff? Tell me that. Name me your top 5 quarterbacks. And out of all top 5 of those quarterbacks, name me one coach that has been terrible. I don't think you can name me a lot of elite quarterbacks or top 5 quarterbacks that have bad coaching staffs. And when you look at most of the quarterbacks who we consider to be top 10 quarterbacks, it's pretty much only 2 of those who have bad coaching staffs. That is Deshaun Watson and Matthew Stafford, if you consider Matthew Stafford the top 10 quarterback. But Matthew Stafford isn't carrying the Detroit Lions to the playoffs like Deshaun Watson has carried Houston to the playoffs. So you look at that, and with the fact that Deshaun Watson has won with less, how does he not deserve Patrick Mahomes' caliber money? I think that's a little bit outrageous, and I think that's a little bit crazy. I'm not even going to waste time debating people about why Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback. If you watch football for the last few years, and you watched the NFL last season, you understand that Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback. Shouldn't really be that much of a debate there. There's not really a lot of quarterbacks who you can say are a top 5 quarterback in Deshaun Watson's shoes. We're sitting here considering guys like Aaron Rodgers elite, but yet Green Bay Packers fans always make the excuse saying that, Aaron Rodgers needs another wide receiver. Well, damn it, Deshaun Watson needs an offensive line. He needs a top 10 defense. And he needs a Matt LaFleur as a head coach. Deshaun Watson would probably love to be playing for the Green Bay Packers right now. The Green Bay Packers has everything that Deshaun Watson has never had in his career. So Green Bay Packers fans are sitting here complaining about how Aaron Rodgers needs more when he already has a top 10 defense, a good rushing attack, something that Green Bay Packers fans have been complaining about Aaron Rodgers not having for the last few seasons. And yet Deshaun Watson doesn't have anything near that. And plus he has a good coach. A good coach. So what does Deshaun Watson have to work with? How is Deshaun Watson not a top 5 quarterback? How does Deshaun Watson not deserve to make Patrick Mahomes caliber money when he has done more with less, considering when you compare him to the rest of the quarterbacks in the NFL making more than him? I find that a little bit crazy. Russell Wilson, yeah, he's carried Seattle to the playoffs, but he does have a pretty good team. He does have a pretty good coaching staff. He does have weapons around him. Yes, he elevates those guys. Yes, he makes his coaching staff look better. But he does have a really good defense. Seattle had a really nice defense this past season. Despite the fact we didn't really see that against Green Bay in the playoffs. But they did have a really good defense. But you look at Deshaun Watson, he doesn't have a good coaching staff, a great defense, a great offensive line. Now DeAndre Hopkins is gone. Come on, man. Name me another quarterback that has won with less other than Deshaun Watson. This dude is literally carrying the Houston Texans to the playoffs on his back. So, I mean, when we talk about quarterbacks who deserve Patrick Mahomes caliber money, it definitely should be Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson deserves to be in Houston for 10 to 12 years, just like Patrick Mahomes deserves to be in Kansas City for the next 10 to 12 years of his NFL career. And you telling me Deshaun Watson doesn't deserve to make that kind of money that Patrick Mahomes is making? You're trying to tell me that Deshaun Watson is an elite quarterback like Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback and all, but let's not act like he's had a terrible team around him. Yes, his defenses haven't been ideal, but he has one of the best offensive minds in NFL history, Andy Reid, a solid offensive line, one of the best receiving corps in the NFL, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, DeMarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman. I mean, come on, man. When you look at what Deshaun Watson has did for the Houston Texans, I think it's really impossible for you to tell me that Deshaun Watson does not deserve to be one of the highest paid quarterbacks, and not the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and deserves Patrick Mahomes caliber money. It's not a lot of quarterbacks that have been able to win games the way Deshaun Watson has been able to win games. He basically has to go back there and play street ball. Imagine what Deshaun Watson would have been able to do with a coach like Andy Reid, a Matt LaFleur, a Sean Payton, a Bill Belichick. He'll be doggone near unstoppable. So, I mean, Deshaun Watson deserves to be paid like Patrick Mahomes. I just don't understand how people can say Deshaun Watson doesn't deserve Patrick Mahomes caliber money when he's won more with less than any other quarterback in the NFL.